Today, we're going to be talking all about quality time. Now, don't get too concerned. Quality time is one of those things that I think all of us enjoy, regardless of if you are a male or a female. Good, wholesome quality time is going to be something that you'll find enjoyable, and so will your wife. So I know, the first question is, well, what benefits do I get out of quality time? Well, you get intimacy, and I'm not talking about sexual intimacy. I'm talking about a deep, true understanding of the things that your wife is going through on a regular basis, which is something we talk about a lot throughout these podcasts. Getting to a point where you understand your wife and what she's going through is so important, okay? The next thing you get is a level of respect for one another. And this isn't a demanding respect like, yeah, I'm the man, I wear the pants in the house type respect. That's not what I'm talking about. Instead, what I'm talking about is a respect for the things that each other does in the relationship. You see, when you spend time with your wife, you're going to learn things about her in a way that you don't get if you just live your day-to-day life, right? So when you come home and you say, hey, what's up? And you have small talk, you're not really spending quality time. Let me rephrase. When you come home and you say, hey, honey, I love you. How was your day? That is a form of time that you're spending with your wife, and it is quality in some relationships, because that may be where you have to start to enter into this deeper level of quality time that I'm talking about. But what we're going to get at today is intentional, deliberate, well planned out, methodical time to spend with your wife. And this is something that she's going to love. You're going to love it. It's just going to be a wonderful opportunity. So the respect that you're getting in this deep quality time that you're spending is going to go far beyond the, hey, how you doing? How was your day type conversation. This is going to go a lot deeper than that. All right. You also get a amount of joy and peace in the relationship. You see, one of the reasons why our wives get a little upset in our relationship is because she feels like we're not paying attention to her. Now, I guarantee you, many of the men that are listening to this, you probably have heard this from your wife. You're not paying attention to me, or you're not doing something. And I guarantee you, it's going to be because you're not spending time or paying attention to her. Like, I have 2 little girls, and my girls are just amazing. But let me tell you something about them. They demand attention from me. Their mom, my wife, can give them all the attention in the world, and they'll still say, Daddy, look at this, watch this. They specifically look for me to pay attention to what they're doing. Why? Because women, they want the attention from the man. Women want attention from men. Now, as a father, I have to, one, show them that attention, but then tailor it to the gentleman that I want them to marry later on down the line, which means I have to pay attention, I have to be present in the moment, and I have to show them unconditional support and love, because that's the relationship that I'm fostering. I hope this is sinking in, all right? The benefits of quality time. Now, I use that in relationship to my daughters. This is not a parenting podcast, but because my daughters are females and they're young females, I have learned that my wife is the same way, except for she doesn't say it like my kids do, where they actively seek it. Instead, if I'm not spending quality time with my wife, I may not get dinner, or doors get slammed, or I get stonewalled, or we don't have sex, right? So these are the things that you want to be spending quality time with your wife, because you're going to build that relationship. Now, I think it's safe to assume that quality time is going to be different in every single relationship, right? We're not all going to value quality time the same way. Our wives aren't going to value quality time the same way as another wife will in a completely different relationship, right? So this is something you're going to have to fill out with your wife and say, okay, what type of quality time are we going to be spending today? And how do we intentionally spend that time together? Now, I do have some ways that will help you kind of gauge where you're going with the quality time. Before we get into that, though, I want to tell you that when you're trying to figure out if you're spending quality time or not, if you believe that you are, the best way to find out if you're spending quality time is to go to your wife and say, are we spending quality time right now? Does this resonate with you as quality time? Do you find value in this time that we're spending? And ask them what type of value they get out of it. Excuse me, had to clear my throat. Ask them what type of quality or value they get out of the time that you're spending. Because watching TV may be quality time to your wife because she really enjoys TV. Or maybe that just counts as time spent together, but it's not quality because you're not engaging with her. You're just sitting there watching the TV and, you know, you're enjoying whatever the show is or the movie is. All right. So if you want to know what type of quality time you're spending, or if you're spending quality time, you got to talk to your wife. Ask her. Say, hey, does this count as quality time? She'll tell you. I promise. Now, when should you spend quality time with your wife? So I'm going to say we all have busy schedules. We all have busy schedules. However, I believe that 30 minutes every single day at a minimum is mandatory to spend quality time with your wife if you are committed and serious about building your relationship. And this is 30 minutes uninterrupted, dedicated, intentional time for your wife to connect with you and you to connect with her. The kids don't need to be anywhere around there. And it doesn't have to be anything over the top elaborate. It could be watching TV. It could be sitting down and enjoying a meal with just the two of you, or having a cup of coffee and a conversation. I don't know. Whatever that looks like in your relationship, you have to be intentional about saying, hey, today we're going to spend 30 minutes. And that 30 minutes of time is not going to be consistent throughout every single day. So if you spend 30 minutes at 6 o'clock in the morning until 6:30, and then on the next day, you can't meet up to spend the time at 6:30 in the morning or 6 o'clock. So maybe it's got to move to that evening. This isn't a perfect science, right? You're not going to be guaranteed to spend 30 minutes of time with your wife every single day because you could be physically separated where you can't even pick up a phone to call or get on FaceTime or anything like that. That's understandable, right? However, the real practice here is becoming intentional and carving out time in your day that your wife knows is dedicated to her. This is going to make her feel so much more involved and important and special in your life. Okay? The other thing that you need to focus on when it comes to quality time is doing it once a week for at least an hour and a half to 2 hours. And this is a very intentional date. Okay? This could be you cooking dinner for her while she sits at the counter, or you're cooking together. This could be you going out to dinner and then going for a walk. This could be dinner and a movie. This could be whatever it looks like in your relationship. It could be a paint and sip night, right? These are all things that you can do. You want to make sure that you're taking once a week, you're dating your wife. And sometimes that date could be as simple as just taking her to the nail salon, right? I personally don't like to get my nails done. I just cut them and then file them down, and I'm good to go. But my wife likes to get her nails done. So my date is to take her to the nail salon, let her get her nails done. We're hanging out, we're talking, and, I'm not getting my nails done. I'm just sitting there chilling. But she's enjoying herself. And guys, when you start focusing on getting your wife to enjoy herself, your marriage is going to thrive. If you're looking at this as a 50-50 relationship where she better do half of something to make me feel, you're missing the mark, all right? Our job as husbands is to find ways to consistently love our wife and outlove her more than she loves us, all right? You just continue to show her love and grace and be patient with her. And that's not always easy. I am not perfect at this, all right? But when I mess up on that, I'd go back and say, hey, you know what? Maybe I was wrong. And then we discuss that and we move forward, all right? So once a week, getting back to the quality time, once a week you want to make sure that you're spending time with your wife in a very intentional way, and a deliberate date. It should feel like a date. So fellas, what this means is get a fresh cut. All right. If you got hair, if you're bald, then you're good to go. But get a fresh haircut, put on some nice clothes, and make it feel special. I'm not saying go all out and, get her a dress and things like that. Nah. What I'm saying is, don't make it feel like just another night, okay? Make it feel special. The next thing that you want to do is plan a monthly date with your wife, all right? This is a little bit more extravagant, and maybe it's a full day. Maybe it's half a day. This should be something where, one, you want to take lots and lots of pictures of this opportunity, because capturing those moments, you're going to come back to a month, 2 years, whatever it is, and you're going to be like, oh yeah, I remember us doing that. And if you develop those memories, this is going to strengthen your marriage, because these are things that you're going to share with your kids and your grandkids, should you have those or whatever. You're going to want to make sure that you capture the day somehow. And it doesn't have to be like a professional photographer. Just take out your cell phone and snap a quick selfie, and you're good to go. All right. You just want to make sure that you capture it, and remember where you put it. Maybe even sharing it with your wife, so that way she can look back on it. Because those are the things that, when you get into a tough situation, you can look back and say, you know what, we do have a good marriage, because every single month we're doing something where we're spending time building memories, and I'm showing you love. And then when she says you don't spend time with me, you could say, at least once a month I take you out. Now, that's a very terrible defense. Don't do that. Better yet, let's just scratch that. Don't do it, okay? Instead, when she says that, say, hey, let's take a look at some of the things that we have done, just so, we can kind of gauge and see if we do spend time together. That's a better way of articulating to your wife, we actually have a good relationship, and I am intentional about spending time with you. All right. Now, if you do that 30 minutes a day, once a week, I guarantee that your wife is not going to feel like you don't spend time. Now, disclaimer to that. You cannot show up halfway in any of these situations. The 30 minutes has to be dedicated 30 minutes to your wife, so that way she feels like it was intentional and this was her time. Not that she's competing with you and Instagram or whatever other thing is going on. All right? Don't do that. Be very intentional. And make eye contact, make physical contact. Hold her hand while you're doing whatever it is, spending your quality time, okay? And let me clarify. Having sex is not quality time defined by this podcast, okay? That's not what I'm talking about, because sex is great. It's a sign of a healthy marriage in many cases. However, quality time has to be other than sex, because that will make the sex that much greater. Okay? You have to spend time with your wife outside of the bedroom. Don't just show up, go to sleep, because that becomes a roommate with a sex partner. Just calling it what it is. You have a person that you live with, and you happen to go to bed, and then you get to have sex with her. That's not what we're talking about here, okay? Now, here's your drill for the week. Here's how you get to be extremely practical with the way that you do this. First step is you have to open up your calendar, be it iPhone, Google Calendar, whatever it is that you use, all right? You want to open that bad boy up and find 30 minutes on your calendar and then share that with your wife. The first time that I recommend you do this is you send her the invite to that time, and it sounds very like formal, where you are inviting her to a meeting. If you work in a setting where you get meeting invites over Outlook or whatever calendar app your office or team uses, it seems very formal in that regard. But what it really does for your wife is it sends that signal. And if it's an awkward time, you're in a unique place in your marriage, and it's a little strange, then what that does is it sends her the notification, and then you can follow that up with in-person invite and explain that to her. Okay, so you send that first. This goes back to what they call cold calling in marketing. Let the notification be the cold call, because she's going to probably shrug it off if you guys are in a tense relationship and this is your way of trying to engage with her and show her love. The first, her initial reaction is probably going to be, ugh. So let that notification be the initial reaction for her to respond to, and then you follow up with in person, where you can be sincere and you can share your heart with her and you can show her the love that you really want to give to her, and then get her to understand what you're trying to do. And if it takes you sitting down and explaining it for 30, 45 minutes to an hour, or whatever it takes, then that's what it takes. Your marriage is worth the investment, and you getting in there and going for it. All right. Do not, I repeat, do not overestimate the ability to spend quality time with your wife. All right. Or the importance of spending that quality time with your wife, even if it is 30 minutes a day. And if you both live very busy lives and 30 minutes just doesn't work, then 15 minutes. All right. But I feel like you guys can find a way to have 30 minutes of a phone call. Just think back to the excitement that you had when you were dating and before you got married, how you were engaging with your wife on a consistent basis and you just wanted to be around her. I don't know if everyone felt that way, but that's how I felt before my wife and I got married. We're high school sweethearts. I went to a school that was an hour and a half away, because that's the distance we live. So we met in high school, but I just went to a completely different school. And I just remember, like, every other weekend I would get to go be with her, and it was an exciting moment, to hang out with my wife, and I got really a lot of joy out of that. You have to rekindle that same joy and excitement in your marriage when it comes to spending time. All right, spend enough time on that. The next thing that you want to do in your calendar is plan out that weekly date. It doesn't always have to be on Saturday. If that's what fits your schedule, then that's what fits your schedule. Synchronize this time again with your wife. You want to make sure that your wife knows what you're doing, and the time that you're spending with her is value added instead of just being this big drag. All right. The next thing that you're going to want to do is plan out your monthly date. And this is, again, something that you synchronize with your wife. You say, hey, honey, I want to take you out to dinner. I want to take you to the movies. Whatever it is, synchronize that, put it on the calendar, and then be a man about it and stand and actually show up. All right? I don't care if your boss is saying, well, we need you to work later. All right? I get it. Work is important. Your relationship is more important. Now, I'm not telling you to quit your job and to tell your boss, nope, not doing that. But what I am telling you is to go to bat and say, hey, my relationship with my wife means a lot to me. Can we work on getting this project done on a different day or on a different timeline? All right? Because work is always going to demand that you do something, but you can lose your job at any moment. We've seen that with the pandemic of the coronavirus, all right? But your wife is still going to be there. So you have to find time, and you have to be willing to go to bat and lose out on some other things to gain with your wife. All right. So if you are in a situation where your job requires you to work a little bit harder, then you have to say, okay, hey, what is more important, my job or my wife? And my hope is that for all of you, your wife is more important than your job. So there it is, quality time. It's important. You want to make sure that you're doing it. You want to make sure that quality time with your wife is spent every single day, 30 minutes, and then go for an hour every week, and then half a day to a full day once a month. That's the formula to building a sustained quality time. Now, that's just a baseline. If you can do 2 hours a day with your wife, and that's a consistent thing where, you two are good with, then do that. For those of us who are spending a lot of time at home right now, this is a perfect opportunity to spend quality time. And, for some people, maybe that's too much opportunity. But hopefully, you guys are making it through and really comforting one another. Well, thank you for listening in. And I always encourage everyone to genuinely find a way to love your wife every single day. Peace out.